Time for the Finance Committee meeting on Monday, January 11th, 2016. My name's Tom McCormick. I'm sitting in for Mayor Burchell, who is enjoying the sunshine down in Florida. First item is discussion of possible action on minutes of regular meeting of December 21st, 2015. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Discussion of possible action on claims totaling $4,797,271.41, and I think that they're available for.
Yes, and the information on the claims is available at the clerk's office upon request.
Any
I'll
discussion?
move to approve that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Also, I forgot to mention that I'm reserving my right to vote as District 3 alderperson. The next item is discussion of possible action on temporary Class B beer license and a temporary Class B wine license for February 12th, 2016, February 26, 2016, and March 18, 2016, Knights of Columbus Fish Fry at St. Patrick's Church. Is there any discussion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Fifth, discussion and possible action on temporary Class B beer license and a temporary Class B wine license for Hudson Hockey Association. Discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is discussion possible action on Class B beer and Class C wine license for Chen DP Inc.
This is essentially a change of ownership.
Oh, there it is.
What business?
Dragon Pearl.
Dragon Pearl. Okay. Any discussion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion of possible action on emergency siren replacement. Is there anybody here to
No,
speak on
Brandon
that?
had to cover a call. So at the last meeting, you had recommended they go with the full replacement, but they weren't sure on the cost of the installation.
So it's 28 total.
25,678.35.
No, 28 total in the 2015 contingency, so we do have funds in 16 contingency.
Well, we've got, I think there's a 920 maybe. That's just, the 28,000 is the balance still left in the 15 contingency.
Okay. I'll move for approval.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next, discussion of possible action on creation of chief operator positions in the water and wastewater departments.
Evening. You've got the issue sheet, or you should have the issue sheet in front of you. With the creation of my position, it was kind of essential that we pyramid on down. There's always been kind of a lead operator in each department. This is pretty much just making it official with their new job description, and along with that, I'm asking that we increase their wages to put them in line with the lead foreman in the Department of Public Works. So all three of them would be level across the board, along with the recommendation of approving their job descriptions and things like that. So
This was discussed in Public Works.
And public utilities and
Yeah.
at length, yes. I don't have anything to add over you.
No, it's kind of a housekeeping thing for you, Kip? It's just kind of an
It's-
organizational flow chart and a
it's
couple.
both, yeah. I mean, it's a housekeeping thing. They've always had these positions there. I don't know if they've informally been filled, I guess is kind of the best way to put it. I'm just formally going to fill them.
Okay.
And then, like I said, with the wages, we're just trying to bring everybody, the positions for the three departments are pretty similar. So we're just trying to bring everybody up to a level playing field.
Well, we combined both the directors into one utility director.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the need for some operation in each department, sewer and water. So
Yeah.
I think it makes good sense.
Yeah.
I guess I'll move to approve the chief operator positions.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, is discussion of possible action on advertising bids for cross-connection survey and the related meter and software purchase. Kip, can you tell us what this is all about?
Yeah, hopefully you've had time to read your issue sheet. I know it was kind of lengthy, I apologize for that. But there is actually a lot going on. Part of, with the utilities, with the water department in particular, PSC, the Public Service Commission, dictates that we change water meters out on a 20-year interval. There's many reasons that we do it. Water meters over time will slow down. So it's to get our water meters up to the correct parameters so we continue to bill for what's used. It just makes it an even playing field. So we've got that. We're at year 15 right now. So the city of Hudson is due in the next 5 years to change out all of our water meters. What I'm proposing is, instead of doing everything in one shot, we're gonna spread it over a 5-year, over 5 years. We'll do, a fifth, 20% for the next 5 years. At the end of 2020, we'll be caught up, we'll be compliant with Public Service Commission. Along with that is also our residential cross-connection program, which is part of the Safe Drinking Water Act, with which we do have to, that's a federal act that we do have to comply with. So as long as we're gonna do a meter change out, my suggestion is we marry these two together. They both involve going in a basement. It doesn't pay to go in twice into a residential basement. So what I'm suggesting is we take both of these projects, combine them into one project, and get everything done in the next 5 years. It meets all the standards through PSC. It meets the standards through your Safe Drinking Water Act. The prices and everything, now, these are just estimates on my part. What I'm asking for today is the authorization that I can send out proposals for meter software and antennas for our system. And then I'm also asking that we can send out proposals for the cross-connection inspection part of it. We're looking at about 1,200 meters a year, just on the residential side. That doesn't include anything that we have to do on the commercial and industrial side too. So, but that's a completely separate issue.
Kip, what's the purpose of the cross-connection?
Cross-connections, basically a cross-connection, the Safe Drinking Water Act tells us that we're required to go into a home and inspect for a cross-connection. What a cross-connection is it's a direct connection between the sanitary sewer system and the water system. So we're looking to make sure that there is no connection between there, which could ultimately contaminate your drinking water. So the cross-connection is very important, that we go in and we have inspectors, trained inspectors that go in. They look throughout the entire basement. They check water softeners, your hose bibs, outside, different areas like that. Washer drains, from your washer, different things like that they're looking for. So we don't have, these two cannot be connected without like a cross-connection device or something of that nature. So it's basically just to protect your drinking water. It's the same thing that we had to do with the commercial side last year. That kind of got us with the DNR.
So the 120,000, and I understand
Ballpark.
it's just a rough estimate, for 2016, does that cover one inspector, or what does it cover?
That right there would cover about 100 or 1,200 inspections. Because we're going to do 1,200 a year. So technically, we've got roughly 7,000 meters in town that need to be done in the next 5 years. So the $1,200 on the cross-connection inspection, my estimate on that is to do 1,200 inspections and 1,200 meter changeouts. While they're in the house, while the inspectors are in inspecting, they're also going to be changing out that water meter, so we get a current, up-to-date water meter.
Are the inspectors city employees, or?
Negative. No, they need to be certified cross-connection inspectors in order to do it.
Okay, and how many do you think have to be hired each year to do this?
That would depend on, I mean, if we send this out proposal, that's completely up to the company that propose, or, that would bid on a project like this. I mean, they could come in with 10 inspectors and knock it out in 2 months. They could come in with 2 inspectors and knock it out in 8 months. That's up to them. We would just put a start time and an end time, on when it has to be completed by.
We currently use a third party for our inspections for commercial now.
Yes.
And the thing about the cross connection, it's a backflow preventer, so
Sure.
let's say the water main breaks in front of your house and there's 0 or negative pressure, whatever's directly connected to it, it can suck all that water back into our drinking water system. That's the cross connection. That's where contamination occurs.
Now for the payment or the budget amount, you've got 1 million, let's say 1,800,000 for
Correct.
the meter project. And what's the meter project consist of?
The meter is, the meter inside your house, in your basement, there's a water meter. Basically, what this is, the way I have this broke down, it'd be 1,200 meters we'd be purchasing. It would also be updated software, for us to update our software for billing purposes. And then it also is, we want to change over to an antenna read system. So right now, the guys drive around town and read. What the antenna-based system is, there's 2 antennas that we're proposing to put up in town. The water meters send out a signal about every 6 seconds or so. Those antennas pick them up, those antennas send them right back to our billing clerk's desk or right back to her computer, and she bills. So it pretty much eliminates, a lot of man hours that we spend at this point running around reading water meters every quarter.
So the total is 1.8 for that, and the total for the cross connection is 2.4?
No, the total for meters, now this is over a 5-year period, and again, these are just my estimates. Total for meters is about 1.8 million, and total for the cross connection over a 5-year period is about 617,000.
Okay.
How much are
For a complete total of a 5-year project to 2.4 million.
we paying for software hosting?
I have it, I don't have it with me. It varies, it does vary depending on how many accounts you have on that system.
It's gotta
So
be kind
as
of a
we
large
grow,
number, huh?
what's that?
It's a larger number.
I think it ranges anywhere from 7,000 up to about 21 or 24,000. And again, it varies just based off of how many accounts we have on that system. So it'll grow over time, yes.
So you have the funding source for this is water you're splitting it 50/50 between,
Correct, yes.
okay, and I think we exchanged emails about this today, but in the sanitary sewer budget, there's about 450 in unrestricted funds.
Yes.
That's for this year.
Yep.
You would essentially have to exhaust that?
Well, that's kind of, like I said in my email, that's kind of what we're waiting on. We're waiting on the auditors to, there is other monies available, cash monies available. So we're actually waiting on the auditors to see what accounts we can draw
There's
from.
that DNR equipment replacement fund. So I have an email into our auditor to determine, I went on the DNR website today, and it was not, this type of project, they have a specific list of prohibited things that you cannot do. This project was not on that list, but we wanted to check with the auditors, since they know what we can and can't do, to see if some of the money could come from that equipment replacement fund.
And plus throughout the year, we do generate revenue. So that also, would help offset the cost of this.
But that would be operating.
Yes.
Well, do you want to use that for a project like this?
Well, it depends on what we use for operating expenses too, though.
This project is not optional. We have to
I
get this
understand
done
that.
by 2020 we're already out of compliance actually with the DNR. That's what I
The,
mean by not optional.
And again, it goes to what we had discussed earlier on potential rate increases also.
so I think you told me that the deadline to start this is April and May with a completion date of late October.
Correct.
Is there any reason we have to make a decision tonight on any part of this until we figure out what the funding source is gonna be? Particularly for
I
wastewater?
guess it's, in my opinion, all I'm asking for is just to, the proposals are done. Kathy and I have spent numerous hours in emails back and forth writing these proposals up. So the proposals are done. All I'm asking for tonight is to have permission to send these proposals to the newspaper and put them on the website so we can start to get some cost back. You know, I guess, in my opinion, we're trying to make a determination of how to pay for this when we're really not 100% sure what it's gonna really cost us yet. You know, these are just my estimates from what I have.
I'd be okay. I appreciate you spreading it out over 5 years, and now we're not gonna incur any penalties or anything for not being up to date.
DNR was kind enough to let us do it over 4 or 5 years.
Right.
essentially.
Well, PSC says we have to do it. I mean, it's federal law that we have to do it in 20 years. With 20, my guess is, now I haven't researched it, but my guess is 15 years ago or so, the city of Hudson did this exact same thing. They probably did it over a couple-year period and got everything up to, you know, to where it needed to be for that time frame. We're back at that 20-year cutoff.
Sure.
So we need to start this now, because if we wait until the 20-year period, we're gonna be doing the entire city in 1 year, which is doable. I mean, there's companies that will do it, but we're gonna front this entire thing, you know, money-wise in 1 year.
So aren't these the new meters also, that are hyper accurate? What's the difference? They're magnetic versus?
Well, I mean, the meters themselves are gonna change slightly. The biggest change that we'll see is we'll be able to do reads anytime we want. You know, so the advantages that the customers would see on this is actually the billing clerk can set this up, and, you know, if she wants to set a parameter from 2 to 4 a.m., you know, and maybe set, you know, let's say 1,000 cubic feet limit. If somebody goes over that, at that point, it would alert, and we would be able to contact that customer and say, you know, hey, you've used a boatload of water here from 2 to 4 a.m. We don't need to know why, we're just letting you know that you did. Today, the only way that we can find that today is every 3 months, because we only read quarterly. So, you know, there is advantages to the new system for sure. And plus, I said, like man-hours, readouts, when people move in and out of their houses, it takes a lot of time for the guys to run around and reread all this stuff constantly. Because you read out when somebody moves out, you go back a day or two later and have to read the new customer back in, so.
Kip, if there aren't sufficient funds in the unrestricted, and not enough in operating, would you have to raise the rates?
Like we discussed earlier, the rates are on the table, for sure. We've discussed that earlier at the public utility, at the water side of it, and it's also been discussed at Public Works. Rates on the water side have not been raised for 15+ years here in the city of Hudson. Sewer, or the wastewater side, I believe it's probably 5+ or so that we haven't raised the rates. And we are still, today, one of the lowest, or probably at least one of the lowest in the county for rates.
So who owns the meters?
We do.
I mean, which is it, waste or water?
50/50. Because you generate your water bill and your sewer bill off of that 1 meter. That's why we split 50/50.
Well, my only concern is that this is our first shot at this tonight, and I'm concerned about the funding for it. Is there any reason that we can't revisit this in February after we have it through a committee?
Well,
I mean, that's up to you guys again, I
We've already
guess.
talked about this in public utilities at length, for like probably at least a year and a half, even before Kip was even here. So this has been going on for like 2 years. The only other reason I sense the urgency, and when I mean we're not in compliance, I mean the cross-connection part of it, the meter part of it. I think the original notion was that, hey, we're already going to be in there swapping out these meters because we're coming towards the end of our cycle. Can we do the cross-connection as part of that and break it up in 5 years? And is it the DNR that's,
DNR regulates the Safe Drinking Water Act, so they regulate the cross-connection part. Public Service Commission regulates the meter part, correct.
I don't see the harm in going out to do the bid.
yeah, we're not finalized?
I mean, the bids once the proposals go out, I'm looking at a month before I'm even gonna, by the time I advertise in the paper, by the time we get them, by the time we open them, by the time we prepare the sheets to bring it back to Public Work Committee, to the Utility Committee, I'm looking at end of February anyway, before we move this even forward. And then obviously it would go through them committees and then also come back through the city council for approval too at that point.
Are you going to be able to get more information on the funding and by the time?
We can
it
definitely
gets
look into
back?
that, once,
I had hoped to hear back maybe from the auditor today, so
Right.
just didn't, so.
and I do have a meeting in February 17th, I believe, with the auditors too, so it's already on my list to discuss this anyway, so.
So I'd like to see it go out to bid, and then we can get back with the numbers. Advertise it without authorizing expenditures, right?
All you're authorizing tonight is
Next
just,
meeting?
is getting bid. Well, it's gonna be at least a month before
I
he
mean,
gets the
that's
bids back.
we have to advertise for 2 weeks in the paper, we have to set the date when we open bids, we have to tabulate everything at that
So
point.
you're probably looking maybe at the first
It would
meeting,
go-
maybe a first meeting in February, maybe?
And then at that point, it would go through Public Works, through Finance, through City Council, and also on the other side, it would just be going through Public Utilities.
So you might be looking at the
So-
22nd of February.
Does that work for you, Tom? I mean, it sounds like a logical step. We have to do it anyways, and if we could spread it out and mitigate any pain,
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move to do that.
I'll second that.
Perfect.
To advertise for bids.
Move to advertise for bid, and then certainly bring it back as soon as possible. And then we can discuss funding at that point.
Is there a second?
I seconded that, yeah.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, Kip.
I'll stay here.
Got one more?
I think you stay up here for the next
Yep.
item, too. Discussion of possible action on bids received for wastewater treatment plant roof replacement. Then you've got bad news.
Yeah, we do. We received the bids. We were authorized to go out and bid the roof replacement down at the sewer plant for the roofs down there that are leaking as of today. They're still leaking. Even in this cold weather, the heat inside there is heating up that snow that's on the roof, and we still have buckets down there. And technically, they could only, furnace went out, so it's only 59 degrees. It's just, these roofs are bad. So we did go out for bid on this. We got everything back, and I guess what I'm gonna do at this point, I will just turn it over to Justin from SEH, who was the project leader on this and just kinda took everything, so I'll let him run from there and explain what happened, so.
So we got bids in last Tuesday. We only got 3 bids. We had 11 contractors come to the pre-bid meeting. Only 3 submitted after they looked at the job. The 3 that we got were a lot higher than our original estimate on this, by quite a bit. So I made some calls to the people who bid the job and to the contractors who were at the pre-bid meeting to kind of find out why we were so low or they were so high. So there were a few things that came up from a few of these, and I've highlighted that in this letter. Kip, did this letter get?
Yeah, they
these
still
guys?
have a copy of it.
So, well, there were 3. We had a base bid, which was just replacing the roofs, the roofs alone. There was an alternate one, which was replacing that metal mansard roof on 2 of the buildings, and alternate 2 was replacing the mansard roof on the control building and the garage building. So, comparison to the engineer's estimate, some of the reasons we got why the bids were so high was that the overall bidding climate right now is extremely, or the contractors are extremely busy right now, so that tends to lead to higher prices. Just, I was actually kind of surprised with that. So that's why we didn't actually have that in our number. Being winter and everything, I wasn't expecting roofers to be as busy as they are, but another thing was, there were many unknowns with this in a re-roof project. There can be a lot of things that come up that, aren't, they're not known until we tear off the roof or tear off the mansard roof, and the contractors, it seemed like they tend to put a higher number to that as well. They expressed their concern with some of the unknowns. So another thing was asbestos. We didn't factor that into our number. We did find asbestos on the sludge building roof. That was reported to be anywhere between $2,300 and $10,000 to abate that. The other thing was the mechanical costs. We were about half as much as what came in for bids on the mechanicals. The roofing contractors had trouble finding interested mechanical contractors to bid on this work, so I think that led to some higher prices as well. And then labor and equipment, I mean, in the middle of winter, with how congested those roofs are, and with them being frozen solid, what I'm hearing from the roofers is they can only work about 500 square feet a day, which leads to obviously a longer time frame, which is more labor, which added a lot of cost here. So with that said, we had 5 award scenarios here in the letter. Under scenario 1, the city would award McPhillips Brothers the base bid work and forego the 2 alternates. McPhillips was the low bid at $430,000 for the base bid. Award scenario 2 would award 1 contract to Diverse Construction for base bid and alternate 1, which was basically the original set of documents. We added alternate 2 during an addendum. Award scenario 3 would be to award Diverse Construction with the base bid and alternate 2. Award scenario 4 would be to award Diverse Construction with the base bid and both alternates. And award scenario 5 would be consider rebidding this in the spring. So our recommendation is to go with award scenario 4. Although that's the most expensive scenario, I'm not sure if we rebid this in the spring that we're gonna get better prices. I mean, the construction industry is just gonna probably be busier than it is now, so.
Why do you support award scenario 4?
Well, one, base bid, obviously, we need, that's kind of the most critical piece of it, because the buildings are leaking. This would button up the building. With award scenario 4, you get an updated facade on all 4, or on 4 buildings out there. And if that was rebid later, I'm not sure we're gonna get better prices than we got now, so.
Is scenario 5 realistic? We can't wait, can we?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the buildings are pretty much deteriorating as we're talking right now, so.
Well, I'm in favor of moving ahead with the project, but I'm disappointed in your estimations and the kind of the lack thereof attention to detail. Over the years, this is probably one of the most discrepant bid scenario where you're so far off that I've seen in a long time. So I don't really care for your explanation or apology. That being said, I would support option 4 that you've said, because it can't wait. That's an asset we have to fix, and we got to move forward with it. We have the funds available. So I would move to approve option 4.
The funding, Devin?
The Future Facilities Fund, which I believe Kip said
I think it's
had
on the issue sheet.
No, there's plenty of money there.
Yep.
Yeah.
4 million something, I believe it is.
Well, I'm going to second that. My comment would be that, being in the construction business myself, selling construction materials has been a wacky last 2 years. And it's been pretty darn warm all the way up through December, so I'm sure people are, busier than in construction, we're in a mini boom at the moment. So I could see how there'd be some discrepancy. I don't know about the total amount, and I haven't really paid attention to the bids. But that being said, I would favor option 4 as well. So I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion?
And you want that from the Futures Facility Fund as recommended, okay?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, items for future agendas.
I have one. I would like to have update on the new law that was instituted by the state on the walk and sip picnic license.
Oh,
don't know
wine
if
and, those
Wine and
art,
sip?
wine and sip art
Where they
studio things?
No, where there it's a walking. You can.
Oh, a walking thing, okay,
So that's just recent. I don't know if it's passed or it's proposed. I'm not sure what the
Passed.
status. It's passed. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
For motion to adjourn?
Yeah, so moved.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.